Hey kids, it's time to get some SML podcast all up in that.
What's up, everybody? This is the SML podcast. I am your host, Joe. Cole still isn't here. He's, I think, in safari in Eastern Africa. I don't know. It's been a while. I haven't gotten her carrier pigeons lately, but I have some friends to back me up this episode. First off, Jacob Garner's here. Jacob, how are you doing?
You called us friends.
Yeah. Coming back to the show, always good to have family back. Kris Huber, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm alright.
That's it. Just all right.
I'm making do. I'm doing 2020/2021 good. You know.
Good asterisk.
Yeah.
And then coming back to the show for some unknown reason, one of the most talented people that America's got, Ryan Niemiller's back on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm back because I was bored. Let's be honest. There's not a whole lot. When your business is performing in front of people and that doesn't exist anymore, you have the time to slum around with something like this. So I'm glad to be back.
Hey, man. Welcome to why I'm here. I totally can relate.
Yeah, whatever it takes, I guess. I'm not too proud.
I feel so.
Well, you know what, though? I mean, it I'm sure it keeps your conversational chops up, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just been me talking to the dog. And that's getting weird when I go out in public. So I need to at least have, even if it's just you guys, I still need to talk to other human beings. So this is some good practice.
So we serve a purpose.
Do you feel like you like your social abilities have waned in the downtime? Because I feel like mine have.
Oh, very much so. So it's a situation like because I do get to go out and perform every once in a while, I keep myself quarantined for the most part, just in case. Then when I do go out, like if I just need to go pick up some groceries real fast or just go to a drive-through really fast, I'm so untrusting of every other human being that
I know.
Yeah, anything I even remotely can construe as oh, was that a cough? I will murder them right now. I will burn this place to the ground. So I'm a little jumpy, we'll say.
Yeah, and even trying to make the best of it and doing events and stuff like that during everything. I don't know about you, but even the stuff that I've done, you could attempt to try and take every precaution under the sun, but I mean, as well as I do that once you're out in public, you can't really attribute other people taking the same precautions
exactly
the same way.
The way that I've kind of been describing like when I do live shows, I know they're doing everything they can to keep me safe and I'm keeping myself safe.
Right.
But if you're in a group of people though, you are only as safe as the least safe person there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
And there's a lot of idiots out there.
Yeah, I've been kind of on the fence too, because we've done some stuff. I play music primarily, but we've been able to do some stuff outside. But then as soon as the weather went to shit, it was all right, calendar completely went to shit too. So now obviously since it's still we're on the tail end of winter, it's I still don't have a lot coming up, but with the weather starting to break, there's people wanting to do stuff, and I can't help but think of how things were even just at the tail end of before the winter, if it's going to be even similarly the same thing. It's it kind of almost makes me just as cautious, Yeah,
I'm in a weird position right now, and it makes no sense intellectually, but I'll tell you where my mind is at. When people are offering me to a comedy club is still running shows, my brain goes, okay, this is how I make a living. I'm trying to buy a house. I need to pay the bills and take care of my family. So I understand why I'm going to go do it. But then when anyone shows up, I'm you're going to risk getting sick over my dumbass? What is wrong with you? Really, I'm going to be the reason you kill grandma?
Yeah. I'm so glad I don't feel that I'm not alone on that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Cause it's just I mean, it's the double-edged sword. Cause it's I mean, obviously, even just being in entertainment, it's like, yeah, you want to provide like some sort of, distraction from everything else that's going on. But at the same time, it's like you want to be responsible. And it's just like you're trying to take like all of those variables into consideration while still doing the thing. Like, there's only so long you could stare at a fucking wall. Like,
yeah, like for the first 3 months, I was very militant. Like, let's just everyone stay home. We could be over this. But like, when not even to get political about anything, but when it became pretty clear that nobody was going to get any financial help or any kind of real tangible help, at a certain point, you just got to go, all right, well, I guess I'm going back to work. Please don't spit in my mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real. Yeah, because even with a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the clubs around here, it's like, they've still operated, but it's been at a limited capacity. And even with the limited capacity, it's like, people have a couple drinks, they start to feel loose. It's like they start fucking getting up and walking around. It's like, dude, you're not really helping. But it's like, how else are you supposed to do it? It's like, of course you want to like serve people drinks. Of course, like they got to make money. So it's like
the club makes their money.
Yeah, of course.
They don't make their money on tickets. They make their money on drinks and food and stuff like that. So
yeah, no, that's why it's. I've always kind of had that weird. Like, I've always felt weird. There were certain places that like I used to play that wouldn't let me play unless I drank, and I'm not a drinker, so I would have to do the whole like you nurse like a beer at the very, very beginning while you're doing your load in, and then keep the empty bottle around that you could just kind of like make it look like you're drinking all night. Like,
yeah, I don't drink either, so I'd always get I would get like a Coke, but I tip well. Like I understand what the business is, so it's like, okay, I'm going to spend $2 on a Coke, but I will tip you well. Just don't be a dick to me because I don't drink. Like, you'll be fine. We're going to take care of you. But
and I'm sure you have like the same fucking kind of thing. Yeah. Like, there's certain people that come out to shows that it's just like they want to tip you in drinks, and it's just like, dude, like I got a job to do. Like,
oh yeah. I always tell people, if anyone's ever trying to buy me a drink, I tell them to like use that money and tip the bartender. Like, yeah, like if you want to help me out, give that money to the bartender, because
as long as they do good, you do good. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's a situation too. I don't think a lot of people understand that. Like, for the most part, at this point of where I'm at in my career, if I did drink, I could drink for free for the rest of my life. Like, I know it's a nice gesture, but I don't need you to do that. I needed you to buy me dinner 8 years ago when I was sleeping in my car.
Or buy a CD.
Or a hotel, yeah.
Or a shirt or something.
Now that I'm actually making a little bit of real money, I don't need you to pay for my chicken wings. Like, it's a nice gesture,
dude,
but like...
Speaking of making money, I just made a couple of bucks. Vertically Impaired just subbed to us on Twitch for the 36th month. That's 3 fucking years that he's been supporting this show. Tony, thank you so much. Always appreciate seeing you here. 3 years. Oh my God. Why?
That's longer than I've done most things.
I was going to say, Ryan, you could probably attest to this too. I think it's like what really has kept a lot of any kind of entertainment business afloat in this past year has mostly been the people. Like, it's just like you figure out an alternative way to still provide something for people.
Fucking yeah!
I like done any kind of alternative like streams or anything like that in a way to connect with people, but
not as consistently as I should have. Like, I was coming in completely blind, and I'll be honest, this was a mistake on my part. Early on, some people got on it right away. They were like, okay, crap, I need to learn Twitch. I need to learn, Zoom so I can do these shows. For me, I still had it in my head like, this will be maybe a month or two. People will do the right thing and stay home. I could use the break, because at that point I was so tired, because I had been on the road 7 months nonstop without barely seeing my apartment. I came home.
Optimism is inspiring, though.
And I mean, it sounds like the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life at this point.
Well, but you know what though, like
hell yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel, because like when you're on a stint of being, especially if you're on the road for a bunch, I'll admit I wasn't terribly familiar with, like, I don't watch a lot of TV. So Joe sent me like a compilation of a lot of the appearances that you had, and I watched a bunch of your material and stuff. And like when you were talking about the drive like everybody's just like trying to make the best out of like, oh yeah, it's beautiful in what was it, Montana or something like that?
Utah.
I
still get hate mail from Utah.
But it's so fucking accurate because it's like, all right, that was cool, and then like you're in a car and just fucking going forever, and it's just like
9 hours,
the same shit, and you're just like, all right, that was cool for like the first hour,
20 minutes.
like, you're like, I'll stretch it, like.
I will tell anyone who's not like has never been on the road to like work, you get paid for the travel. Like,
yes, 100%.
For me, the shows I get to do, that's my bonus for dealing with. Like tomorrow, I'm going to Chicago to do 2 shows, and I have to be up at 3 a.m. to get to the airport, then fly, and then get to the hotel, and then do 2 shows that night. So it's like I get paid for the struggle of that, because like being in airports sucks. Like I love my girlfriend, I love my dog, I don't want to be away from them, but this is how I make money. So the shows are the cool part. You get paid for the other nonsense.
Yeah. I always told people that like being in music, it's like people pay me to set up and tear down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, that's all it is.
Jacob, what do you get paid to do?
I get paid to help rich people purchase $50,000 couches and then have it sent to their second home.
I mean, that sounds cool.
No, it's really disheartening.
Contact information in my phone for because we're all going to get there. That's the thing with Americans. We all assume that one day that's going to be us. I'm going to keep you in my phone.
It's one of those things where it's really disheartening, where it's like, I hear the stories, it's like, we got to make this sale. Like, we need you to fix this. But because I work in IT for a lifestyle brand. It's just like the salespeople are like, oh my God, like, you got to help us get the sale through, blah, blah, blah. It's $50,000. We got all this commission riding on it. But like, we can't have customer service get that money. Like,
you can't fight corporate America.
Yeah, and it's just like, they're like, all right, well, this couch costs $50,000, and I'm like,
it's more than I make this year.
That's like what it has.
That's more than my car.
Salary.
That's like 10 of my cars.
That is more than the first 12 years of my comedy career combined. Actual comedy, like that's absurd.
And I'm just like, and it's just like, well, couldn't you just have it sent to their first house? And it's like, no, they need it sent to their second house. And it's just like,
otherwise their wife will see it. That's the couch for the mystery.
Well, it's just like our system wasn't meant for it, because it's like, because it assumes that like your credit card information is going to be the same as your home information. But of course, one of our lifestyle brands caters to like, they're rich, but not
travelers.
Like, right. Well, that's
nomads.
Our life. No. Well, Hippy Dippy Trust Fund Kids is another one of our lifestyle brands. But and it's just, and then they tell us like, oh yeah, like there's no room for raises this year, and it's just like, dude, you just sold a couch that like would have paid for my salary right off the bat. Don't tell me that. Like.
Yeah, it's always weird hearing that. Like I won't get into too many specifics. It's not my story to tell. But I have one of my best friends in the world. He is a wrestling announcer who, before the pandemic, worked for the largest wrestling company in the world. And then he was one of the cuts based on pandemic preparedness. And then that same company later that year was like, we've had our most profitable year ever. And it's like, oh, so he had to lose his job for nothing? Cool.
Jeez.
Yeah. Life is weird.
Yep.
That's why I'm all about like people working for themselves. So, you being in entertainment and doing entertainment yourself, that's like very, very cool, obviously.
Yeah, there's obviously like every job that you do, there's stresses to it. It's like it's a different type of stress, but at least like I'm answering to 2 people. It's me, my agent, and my manager, and they're there to help me make sure I do what I want. So
yeah, and as long as you got
a
cool agent that's like not a dick and is a real human being, you're in a good spot.
Yeah. Not to sound like the Hollywood elite, but for me it was like really important that like for both of them, they were also human beings that like I would also want to just like text and say like what's up. I didn't want that just to be a dude with a tie that's like trying to make business deals. Like I want to actually be friends with these people too.
What would your agent think if he knew you were doing this show?
I mean, this is beans to him. He doesn't care. Yeah, because comes to think, like legitimately, it was so weird because for America's Got Talent, when you get on that show, it was such a like drastic change in my career between being completely obscure to now suddenly like millions of people knew me.
Yeah, sure.
So I literally had to ask questions like that when my buddies would ask to do just like their podcast, and like, you know, like I'm not too proud. Like I have a reputation in comedy. I used to do every dive bar and every like for me, there's no venue that's too whatever, and that goes to podcasts as well.
It's all experience. Yeah.
If you have 3 listeners or 3 million listeners, I'm excited to do it because these are fun.
Oh,
but
we
I
got
had to
3,
be like,
so we're doing good.
Hey, we have at least Tony for 36 months. That counts,
Hey.
right? Yeah, but I had to literally ask my agent, like, "Hey, is this cool?" And he had to, like, he said it kind of jokingly, but he's like, "Yeah, I don't give a shit, man. Just like it doesn't matter. Just don't say any racial slurs or anything stupid.
Right? Don't do anything that's gonna get you canceled, and you're good."
But, but other than that, like, yeah, have fun, man. He doesn't care what I do. He just wants me doing stuff because everything. Because like, I've always looked at it this way. Even if I'm doing a podcast that maybe their listenership is 10 people. If one of those people buys a ticket one day or follows me on Instagram at
it's
Triple
the
Threat
long
8,
game.
yeah, it's totally worth it.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, and that's actually really good to hear too, because like I'm unfortunately, like a lot of my previous experiences with management has not gone smoothly. Well, I say not gone smoothly. It just has not ended up in situations that were favorable for me. That's all. So it's nice to hear that not everybody gets screwed over.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just like as long as you know what to do and you do your research, just like anything else, you know.
I learned a lot. Yeah.
See, Joe, we could justify this podcast. We get free video games, and we're boosting Ryan's career.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, if we can somehow figure out
Allegedly.
to tie those together, and I get free video games as well, then we're in business.
Here, I'll
That
send
can
you a
absolutely be arranged.
If you were looking for a copy of Solitaire 3D,
Scott already hooked me up with that. He was more than happy to get rid of one of those codes for sure. But that's the thing. A lot of people like that are just my fans don't know. Like I'm a video game collector. Like that's my passion. Like when I talk to you, Joe, like I was like I want to do this show more so I can get used to talking about video games more because I want to do like a YouTube channel and do stuff like that because I'm passionate about this, but I don't really have the outlet. Like my close friends don't talk this stuff the same way I do.
Sure.
So I want to like get in that world because it's a passion project for me. I love doing it.
well, what do you want to talk about?
What projects? I mean, Joe, this is
this is my passion project. This is we just turned 8 earlier this month.
Hey, congratulations! That's impressive for like doing anything like this. Just to keep that momentum going for that long and still produce content is impressive. So congratulations. That's very cool.
Yeah, it is a lot of boredom.
Well, I tell them all the time it's still something to be proud of because like I mean in any kind of like creative field, even being in comedy or in music or whatever, like content is king. So regardless of like if it's quote unquote good or bad content or filler or whatever, like what could be filler to one person is like the greatest thing ever. That like there's certain stuff that you've covered and that we've like talked about on the podcast that I know that other people haven't, and the people that have actually been able to stumble upon and hear that conversation, I'm sure they're like, oh my god, this is incredible. So you do have to kind of hold out for those people. Like he was saying, it's always about the long game, and this is proof that you've been doing the long game, and you've literally had like a lot of guests that you should be proud of, a lot of games that you've been able to cover that like you got thrown your way. Like it's sick.
Dude, we got EA this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Like end of last year. Yeah,
that's pretty dope. And I'll speak as somebody who, again, my career, it was 12 years of no one giving a shit. And then year 13.
And then all of a sudden it's fucking everything. Yeah.
I was a big deal. So it's like, man.
So 5 more years of doing this shit and then someone's going to pay attention.
Basically what I'm saying is that's my guarantee. In 5 years, you will be one of the largest shows in history.
Nah, it's all about consistency and longevity. And like Joe, seriously, like even though obviously like I've had to like take some time away, like doing more of the music side of stuff. Like I'm super like I'm so happy that you've been able to like keep this going and like and keep it alive, you know?
Thank you.
Is this going to be a weird time where, announce this was the final episode? You were going to...
Honestly, no lie, part of me wants to end with 666.
I feel like that would probably be more appropriate. Yeah,
do the whole show backwards, and the show ends with, "Hey kids, this is the SML podcast," and then it's over for good.
Nice.
I like the idea of doing that for the episode. I don't know if I'm a fan of it ending on that episode.
Oh no, the episode's already going to be backwards.
Fantastic.
Yes. We're planning episode 666. We're doing completely backwards. Raider Biz asking if there will be a Retromania wrestling review today. I have not heard back from those guys yet. I hope we hear back. I'm looking forward to that game.
Yeah,
Ryan, what do you think of that game?
I am interested in seeing that because obviously I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. That's where the Cripple Threat name came from. Like, that's my jam. I'm doing the Jericho Cruise later this year. Like,
which is cool as shit.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
That. Yeah, I'm excited. Like, they're paying me to be there. Like, that's weird to me. That's still 16-year-old me is losing his shit right now. But like, I want that wrestling game to be good because I'll be honest. As much as I love wrestling, I've found most wrestling games over the years to not be great because it doesn't quite, and I don't fault them for it because it's hard. Wrestling psychology is not an easy thing to perfect, but they feel more like fighting games, which I don't love, than they feel like wrestling games. And I've always been a simulator guy, so the TNM wrestling simulator is probably my favorite game of all time.
I don't even think I'm familiar with that one.
It was really big in like the 90s and early 2000s, and he kind of fell off it for a while because the guy who created it is a good friend of mine. His name's Oliver Kopp. He right now, his job, he does color commentary for the German broadcast of AEW. But he worked for UFC for years. He worked for WWF/E for years.
What was the platform that was the basis of it?
It was because like the game is the reason it's been tricky for him to modernize it is it was all done in like DOS. So like it's old school. So it is you have to use like a DOS emulator to even be able to play it on modern systems. Like that's how dedicated the community is for it. And he's been doing a lot of great work on it recently to kind of update it where it's still like in DOS, it's like over 200,000 lines of code that he's trying to get to Windows, so he's doing it in stages.
All right.
But yeah, I highly recommend it. There's a learning curve because it's all text. It's very kind of thick on that. But if you're into that sort of thing, like running your own promotions and simulating matches, TNM7.com. I will give the plug for him there.
That's pretty cool. I do have a DOS emulator on my Wii still, so
give it a look, man. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you out. I'm kind of an unofficial sponsor for him, so I take care of business. But going back to Retromania, I hope it's good. I'm interested in what I've seen of it, but I haven't followed like the day to day. So I'm all.
I just heard about it today, so I'm still not like terribly familiar with it. It looked kind of Fire Pro-esque. Is that ish? Like. Am I right in that or no?
It's what is it? Retro what the Retro Wrestling Challenge was the name. What was the name of the original game on the arcade that they're basically this is the sequel to?
So it's like almost like a
that's why it's Retromania.
Spiritual successor, is that what it like?
Yeah.
Retro.
Give it an old Google.
Retromania Wrestling. Okay.
Yes. And Raider Biz saying that they announced Mr. Hughes and James Storm as DLC characters.
Okay,
coming soon.
I like James Storm. I know, isn't Tommy Dream? I think Tommy Dreamer is a part of Retromania. I don't.
Yeah, it looks like it. I'm looking at the trailer right now. It looks like Blue Meanie's in this, or
BWO.
Yeah, it's got a lot of good old school stuff. Stevie Richards is an old buddy of mine. Austin Idol.
Oh shit! Yeah, this looks really good. Like even just like the sprites and stuff. Like this looks nice.
Yeah, I shot them an email. Hopefully they read it. Hopefully we're not in their spam folder. That's where I wind up a lot of times. I am routinely found in spam and junk folders. Which, let's be fair, that's where we belong.
Yeah. This is a game that, like, when it comes out, I will definitely get it. I'm all for supporting wrestling games. And then if it's not great, it's not great. But I'm always excited when somebody has, like, this clearly looks like, again, a passion project. They're really excited to make a cool wrestling game. So I'm all for that.
No, this looks really nice. It looks like on Steam it comes out tomorrow. So
yeah, I think console's another week or two away. I think so. I can't keep track of everything. There's too many games. It really is. And then, did you see Sony's State of Play event was today? Did anyone watch that?
I was going to watch like the recap later. Tim was telling me about it, obviously.
It was okay, I guess.
Yeah, nothing on there. Like, I'll be perfectly honest. For modern stuff, I'm an Xbox Switch guy. So I'm not expecting a PlayStation event to usually grab me super strongly. I didn't see much in there that looked great. I think, what's it, Kena? Is that the name of that game?
Yeah,
that looked
everyone's
all right.
excited about Kena Bridge of Spirits. I know Cole is very excited for that one. I liked their bit on Oddworld Soulstorm. I'm looking forward to that. The fact that it's going to be free on PS Plus for PS5 players is really cool.
That's neat. Did they
April
say
6th,
anything about
like
a
few bucks?
Did they say anything about their like the spiritual successor of the PlayStation VR?
Just that it's happening.
Okay, just that it exists.
Yeah,
that's it.
And it's going to be a single cord to connect the headset to the system. That's all they.
I mean, I'm kind of curious about that. Obviously, ever since I got that Windows mixed reality headset thing, even though it's not like it just made me realize where VR can go, and even just like a meh VR headset at this point is actually still like it's really nice. Like it's really good.
Right, so, and you and I were talking about VR the other day, and how a lot of VR just there's nothing you can really do with it.
Yeah. VR is one of those things that, like, conceptually, I'm for it, and they can do some really cool stuff. But and this is a very me specific problem, and like the subset of gamers who are like me,
accessibility things.
Yeah, I can't play most VR because, like, even like the Sony the PSVR, which is like kind of like it's supposed to be like an easy entry into VR. Like, you have to hold those motion controllers.
Right.
I'm out.
Right.
I mean, that's why, like, one of the things I wanted to talk about, I'm probably a week late on it, but, like, I'm so pumped about Skyward Sword finally just having controller support. Because I can play the game for the first time in 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, there was a period of Nintendo, like, on the Wii, where they really wanted to sell those Wii Motion, or the Wiimote Pluses or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they just went, hey, Ryan, sorry about you. enjoy not playing a lot of these games that are... So I miss, like, Metroid Prime and Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, Skyward Sword. Like, big games I would have loved to play that they kind of just went, hey, if you're crippled, go fuck yourself. That was kind of the vibe that I got from it. And I'm glad that's become like a more important thing in modern gaming, where they're actually paying attention to stuff. Like, Microsoft made a damn unprofitable accessibility controller for no reason other than it was just the right thing to do. There's no way that thing's making money, but it's a cool thing that's available for disability gamers, which is amazing.
You know, I'm actually kind of shocked that there's not like some sort of aftermarket like accessibility thing that's at least been started to be developed to try and like translate some of this stuff over. But I could see where like the barrier of entry and like how you would translate it could be a little bit of a hurdle. I'm trying to think of Yeah, there's been like a little emulation stuff that's been tried to be done here and there, but it's clunky just based on the nature of how modern their consoles they're trying to emulate are, plus the fact that, you know, from a console side, I could totally see that. I know like some of the more modern like PC side of things, I guess they're doing more of like the like motion tracky thing where instead of, so you wouldn't maybe necessarily have to have like some sort of actual controller that you have to like hold on to for reference, unless you just like, I don't know, set points on something.
And I guess is why it's always been frustrating for me. Like, I understand that I am clearly the minority here. Like, you know, we exist, you know, gamers with disabilities exist, but we're a pretty small market share of who's buying this stuff. But especially the stuff for like the Wii, it always frustrated me because, like, how hard would it have been to give like the option for both? Like, if you want to sell those and like do that, because I know a lot of people love like pretending they're swinging the sword and stuff. Like, that's cool, but like it totally boxed me out 100%.
Well, I think even just how some companies now, like even with Microsoft making the accessibility controller, like I feel like there's certain things that, regardless of if it something that's even necessarily like quote unquote like needed, that there's certain accessibility things that if they just did, that there's people with that don't necessarily need those accessibility options that end up enjoying them and using them anyway. Like I noticed that with some of the stuff in some modern games with like certain like color correction for like, I'm not colorblind, but I'll still use certain colorblind things just because like I think it makes it a more enjoyable experience. Like there's got to be some sort of like there's got to be a cross section of like things that you could do that make things more accessible for people that are still enjoyable for everybody.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was one of the other things I was going to bring up too. Like even that is relatively recent in the video game industry. Even doing something for like color blindness, you know, like I know like what I have is a little bit more of an extreme version of a gamer that has a thing to deal with. So mine might be a little more specific, but like a lot of people have some version of color blindness. Why is that just now kind of becoming a thing?
Right.
It's always been a weird situation to kind of like. It's especially because now that people are doing it, it's like oh yeah, duh.
Yeah, kind of.
Like, why didn't we do
like,
this
why
the
didn't
whole
this
time?
exist before? Yeah. No, there's got to be more. Like I've thought about that too. Like even you know, before thinking about stuff that would be like pertinent to the conversation today. Like I thought about that with more games even having like accessibility tabs. Like that wasn't a thing up until like a year ago. Like maybe 2. Like. So
accessibility
I think it's really
in
awesome
general has only
stuff.
been really addressed recently, I feel. I wish Cole was here because Cole is really big on accessibility in gaming because of her hands and rheumatoid disease. So she can sympathize a lot with people who have disabilities, and she's in chat, and accessibility is vital. So
yeah, and it's because it's not a small, like it might be looked at as being a small portion of gamers, but it's only a small portion of gamers because a lot of us haven't had the options before.
Right.
So it's what, like 20% of Americans have a disability. Like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not a lot of gamers, but for a lot of gamers, it's because they never had the option because the controllers were designed for a very specific type of person.
Well, even the game that you were describing before for DOS, like the managerial side of things, like, you know, that's something that, like, I would imagine, like, you know, doesn't require as much, like, hand-eye coordination, how fast you're going to type out the response of what you're going to do.
And even, like, the cool thing with that, because it's a management sim, everything kind of plays out on its own. So it's not even any, like, reactions that you have to do. Like, you're literally playing Vince McMahon. So you book shows, you run the shows, you do that.
But you're involved.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, so it's, and I think that's kind of what always drew me into the medium of games in general, where it's like, even if you don't, like I've always said, like I'm just more into, even if I'm going to play like a sim thing where I'm not necessarily like, I play a lot of Magic, like, yeah, all right, I'm going to sit and just click a card and drag it out. Like, you know, it's not like not that physically involved, but like I like that because it's more relaxing. Like, you know, there's just certain games that provide certain things for different people for different reasons, and there's no reason to just lump together like not being able to provide those for certain people just because of, you know, not having the inside of making one small change that makes it available to them, you know.
Yeah, and I try to be understanding from, like, I try to look at it from the business point too, because sometimes there are just certain types of games where making it work for everybody is just not financially feasible, because some things need to complete overhauls. And I understand that not every game is going to be for me, just the way that I understand that not every sport is going to be for me. Like, not everything can be for me, but there should be enough, especially if it's something easy. Like I'll go back to that colorblind example. Like, that's easy. That shouldn't be a difficult thing to implement. At least I would assume it's easy. I don't work in game development, so someone correct me if I'm wrong on that.
You don't work in game development? Why are you on this show then?
I lied on my resume. I'm sorry.
Even not knowing the coding side of things, like, again, just having the awareness of knowing like, hey, let's make sure that we've got an extra X amount of time in our timeline to be able to address like, are these things taken care of?
Yeah, and I have found just in general, not just games, but life in general, that a lot of times when accessibility is not addressed, it's not out of any kind of like malice. It's literally not even thinking about it because they don't live in that world. No,
it's a lack of awareness. Yeah,
exactly. And so it's like sometimes like I got to do a really cool thing recently that I was very happy I got to be a part of. A police department in Indiana reached out to me because they wanted to actually speak to somebody with a disability to help with their disability training. Incredible. Because like they had never really asked anyone who actually is on that side of things what.
So they actually did it. Wow.
Exactly. Like and like I'm so happy to do that. Even if it comes off a little bit like, well, this should have happened 50 years ago. If someone just like,
hey, at least it's happening.
Yeah,
like,
if someone will ask me, I'll be like, hey, here's how you can make things easier for someone with a disability. Do with that what you want.
Sure.
But people don't ask. They just assume like, oh, well, I'll just do this and it'll be fine. Like it doesn't work that way all the time.
Well, again, I think like, you know, awareness, like even again, you had a little bit, the small bit of having like compassion for like girls with big tits, where it's just like, it really is just more of like an awareness thing where it's just like, man, like, all right, like I can understand that, you know, you might be slightly like, startled that it's not something that you're used to, but it's just like, holy shit, like you do not have to draw attention to it constantly. Like,
right. It doesn't have to become a thing.
Right. It only becomes a thing when you make it a thing. Like,
no. We have a question in chat. I don't know if it's serious or not, but Mr. 8040 says, what are your top 23 Motley Crue songs in alphabetical order?
That's what we call a hard pivot right there. That is.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
I figured we had to lighten the mood a little. So, any Motley Crue songs anyone wants to talk about?
I think, you know what? I'm going to say Home Sweet Home is very underrated. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I never really listened to Motley Crue, so
I can't hold that against you.
I would say you're not missing anything, but you should totally watch the movie.
The movie?
Yeah, the like rockumentary movie thing that was on Netflix, The Dirt.
Oh, didn't know about it.
That sounds scandalous.
Totally watch it. It's fantastic. It's so good.
Well, Jacob, there you go. A movie recommendation.
You asked for the song. Here's a movie you should watch.
I mean, there's a bunch of the songs in the movie. So
I'm just like, good. Another entertainment recommendation as I juggle work, 2 children, a pandemic, education.
my growing backlog of movies.
What is time?
Movies and video games. This damn podcast.
Yeah, this goddamn podcast.
I mean, really, I'm just counting down days until the D2 remaster now. So
that seems like a good segue into the news. Should we get to the news?
It's the news.
I mean, you know, I'm excited for news.
All right,
I've already got 2 extra news stories that I was reading as we were talking. So,
oh boy, well,
you're screwed. You're screwed today, Joe.
We're starting off with Kris because BlizzConline happened last week. Kris, tell us some of the highlights from BlizzCon.
Well, I mean, really, there was only one. There was only one in my book.
There were 2 for me.
What was the second one for you?
Blizzard Arcade Collection.
Oh, that's right. Well,
yeah, that did look cool. I was excited about that.
Talk about that while I pull up the rest of the BlizzCon stuff to see if there's something that I actually forgot.
Blizzard announced and released the Blizzard Arcade Collection, which bundles the Lost Vikings, Rock and Roll Racing, and Blackthorn together, some with multiple versions, for $20.
Yeah, $20 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. I like it.
If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, because I didn't look too close at it. It's essentially all like the SNES ports, correct?
Yeah, SNES and Genesis, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I know Rock and Roll Racing had both versions on there.
You could switch between like the modernizing the old versions as well, I think, right? Yeah.
I haven't played it yet myself. I've bought it, but I haven't fired it up. Go figure. Shocking, huh?
I was going to say that sounds like a very Joe thing, so that sounds about right.
Yes, it is a Joe thing. It is definitely a Joe thing. So the other big news, Kris, I know you're losing your mind about this. Diablo II Resurrected was announced and will be coming later this year to PC, Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, and Switch.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it had been kind of leaked for a while that like they were working on it, and that Vicarious Visions was going to handle, translating it over to modern stuff. They're the same company that did Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot, which like when everybody else heard the news, they're just like, oh no, like it's going to be so bad. But I was very optimistic because I actually played the Tony Hawk remake and they did a great job with it. Mm-hmm. I think it's like the best representation of Tony Hawk I've actually ever played. And after seeing all the stuff that they did and watching like some of the extended like behind the scenes things of like how the resurrected version is going to work, I'm even more excited because like they really are keeping true to the original and how it feels like it's actually running in the background of the remake. So like how all the mechanics work, how the spacing of stuff works, all of that stuff is still accurate and true to the original. All of the engine that's rendering all of the enhanced graphics and stuff is just running on top.
Nice.
So like I'm really excited for it. There's some quality of life stuff that they changed that, and the way that they said that they're handling all the quality of life stuff that they're changing is all stuff that you could technically still do in the original, but like now you don't have to do the workarounds. So like they're doing shared stash spaces. Only reason why they're doing that is because technically in the old games you could just make mules and then just transfer shit between characters. So instead of making mules and going through all the dumb shit like that, they're just like, okay, yeah, here's a shared space tab, right? So like some of the stuff that they're changing doesn't necessarily like philosophically change the way that the game is played. It's just cutting out a step.
No.
You know, and then the only other stuff that really got announced BlizzCon wise was that like there's going to be a Hearthstone expansion. One of the things that they showed for it kind of reminds me of Slay the Spire. That's like this roguelike kind of tower thing. Oh,
that has Cole's attention. Slay the Spire.
So that's kind of interesting. I don't know if it's too little too late because like I used to be like hardcore into Hearthstone and play it like constantly. I haven't touched that game in probably like 3 or 4 years.
Jeez. And you were always about that game too.
Yeah, I was. Well, I mean, it was kind of like filling the void that Magic didn't have, but now I can play Magic again. So
I've always felt games like Hearthstone are games that like you play every day until you just don't play it ever again. Like those are just those type of games, you know?
It's like, totally true. 100% true. Because, well, and I think there was just, again, a philosophical thing of the way that they were treating Hearthstone in that, like, when you play a trading card game, like, most of the times, like in Magic and stuff like that, like, the cards rotate. So, like, at a certain point, like, the cards aren't playable in, like, competitive formats anymore. But in Hearthstone, all they did was just, like, there was a core set of things that just never rotated. So like what you would do from every single season, some of those core cards were just so good and so like they were staples so that you would see them so often. It's like there's only so many times that you could see the same like opening 2-3 cards for like the same 4 years of playing a game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, and that was one of the things that they actually announced in Hearthstone as well, which is kind of interesting, is that they're finally changing over from that type of format. And they're going to have like a classic set that also rotates in and out. So it might make people more interested in trying it out again. Unfortunately, because like I said, Magic is becoming like Magic Arena is available on PC and I think it's on mobile or it's on Android now, but I think it's going to be on Apple soon. I think it's a little too late for Hearthstone, but we'll see. Maybe like maybe the roguelike thing like puts it over the top. And then Overwatch 2 stuff, but they didn't really like give a date. They just showed like
they said it's not this year though.
Yeah, they just kind of like showed, how you're going to be able to like have there's trees for practically every character now that kind of like harken to like a Borderlands-esque type of thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm and the hero challenges or whatever they're calling them, hero stories. Those look like they'll be fun. That's like the PvE stuff. But I liked a lot of Overwatch stuff. I'm curious to see how Overwatch 2 goes. But we'll see if it's enough to keep people really interested in the franchise again. Because I feel like Overwatch as a franchise in popularity has died down quite a bit over the past couple of years.
It's still around though, so the
it is still
fact that
around.
It's still alive says a lot.
Yeah, they still have a pretty like surprisingly decent esports like.
Yeah,
community,
think about all the games that have come and gone that aren't around anymore.
Yep.
So the fact that really Overwatch is still going.
Esports like Overwatch League, you pretty much have what Counter-Strike, League of Legends, that, and like Rocket League, maybe one or two others, and that's about it. Like major players, like
Smash when Nintendo allows it.
Yeah. At Evo once a year, and that's it. Yeah. Like,
well, any other BlizzCon news?
Blizzard wise, that's pretty much it. There was like they did some other like minor announcements for everything, but nothing that was
My favorite part of BlizzCon personally, I am excited for Diablo 2 because I'm it might be blasphemy, but I just never played it. I just wasn't into games as much when that was a thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of excited to go back and see it. But my favorite thing of the entire event was the Metallica's music being redubbed.
that was actually really good. So it doesn't get
copyright strict for their own music.
Yeah, the selection was perfect.
That made me very happy.
Yeah, that was pretty beautiful.
You're right, that was good. And you know what? And even that being said with D2, like, I'm really excited for people to be able to, like, now that they're putting it and translating it over to consoles, like, I know that it might be like, Joe, like that's probably going to be your first experience of doing it too, right? Like you never played D2.
I played it briefly when I got the Diablo 3 collector edition that had the USB stick with Diablo 2 on it. Because at the time my computer wasn't powerful enough to actually play Diablo 3, so I just resorted to playing Diablo 2 instead.
Yeah. Joe, are we going to do some Diablo 2 runs then? Is that what you're saying?
Hey, if you want to team up, I'm down.
Yeah, just two noobs getting lost trying to find the cow level.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, like I'm so excited to be able to hear stories of my friends experiencing D2 for the first time. Because like D2, I mean, Joe obviously knows this because like, I've talked about D2 ad nauseum on this show.
You know.
But D2 really is, it's like, it's one of those deserted island games for me. Right? Like if somebody was just like, this is the only game that you get to play for the rest of your life, like I wouldn't even hesitate and I would pick it. Like, so for me to be able to finally like hear some people have experiences with the game, even if you don't, Joe, if you pick it up and play it for 20 minutes and never touch it again, like just to be able to know that you've been in that world and got to see like the rogue encampment and you did the den. Like that alone, it's like it's become almost like a part of who I am. I've done that fucking like that first run, that first part of D2 so many times, like I could do it in my sleep. Like it's
how many players really, is D2? Can you play that 4 player?
You can have 8.
You can have 8.
Yeah. Oh man, if we just find like 4 or 5 more friends.
Yeah, I don't have friends though, so I'm kind of screwed.
I have some loyal fans, so I could probably have them.
There you go. You know people.
Joe, if there was ever a game that you don't have to worry about me, if whether or not I'm going to purchase it multiple times on platforms so that we play it together, I'm pretty sure this is going to be the one that you don't have to worry about, and I will make sure that I get it on Xbox as well.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's crossplay.
So they said that there's going to be cross progression, but not cross play. Cross play has not been confirmed yet. So cross progression, I'm assuming you could play on your PC, and then if you want to log out and your
it seems like if they have cross progression that way, it would make sense to have cross play as well. But
you would think.
I don't know.
We are talking about a modern gaming company now, so logic isn't necessarily by default. So.
We do have other news to talk about. Can't all be Blizzard. There was some other Activision news during the State of Play that Sony had. Crash Bandicoot 4 was shown off, showing that it's coming to PS5 with faster load times and 3D audio and adaptive trigger support. Like, I'm still not sold on the adaptive triggers of the PS5 and like the haptic feedback. It doesn't do it for me.
I haven't even seen any of the new controllers in the wild. So
no.
I haven't got to touch a PS5 yet, so I can't comment. I will say the old DualShock 4 is one of my least favorite modern controllers, at least for me personally. It does not fit well in my half hands. So I was actually excited when they first announced the PS5 controller because it looks more just like a Xbox controller, which I feel is the perfect design. So I'm excited to actually get my hands on one eventually to try that, because it might make me want to dive into Sony a little bit more than I have.
Yeah, I'm enjoying my time with the PS5. The controller I think is a lot better than the PS4. So if you give it a go, I think you would enjoy it. But after that, they showed off videos for Returnal from Housemarque, which, Kris, have you looked at that at all? I think that's coming to PC as well.
Well, I'm going to look at it right now.
I don't know if it's coming to PC. Returnal. Jacob, any thoughts on any of the Sony State of Play stuff? Did you even watch it?
Nope. I had the kids today.
You are helpful. Sony showed off more of Knockout City, which is that third-person dodgeball game that Nintendo showed off.
Yeah. That looks pretty fun, I'm not going to lie to you. Not every game has to be a 100-hour deep story game.
Agreed.
Sometimes you can just play parkour dodgeball with your friends, and that's enough. I actually think that looks really fun. I
worry that it's going to follow in the footsteps of Rocket Arena.
It probably will. I mean, you're not wrong.
How about that?
Yeah,
praise, Joe.
It probably will.
Here's my jam, says Joe is anti-fun. I like fun. I don't know if Knockout City is going to have staying power. I hope it does. I signed up for the closed beta that they're doing, so hopefully I'll get to check it out and get my hands on it. I don't know. It looks cool. I just hope it has a player base.
Yeah, I feel with those type of games too, one of the most important things to have them last for a little bit is variety. Because I'll kind of compare it a little bit to Fall Guys. I think Fall Guys is a lot of fun for 2 days. And then after that, you're like, okay, there's just not enough different content here for this to be sustainable for me. I feel this game has a lot of potential to be something like that, where for a day or two, you're going to be like, this is dope. But this is the 800th time I've seen this map, so I'm out.
Yeah, Fall Guys is 100% like that. I think 2 days is even generous.
And I love Fall Guys. Fall Guys is a great. I go in and play just a game here and there.
That's about all you can get.
I think it's fun in that context. Again, not everything has to be marathoned to be a game, but Fall Guys is a pretty recent example of something that was really hot and then just isn't anymore.
I mean, I hopped into it literally 3 nights ago with Tim, and we did one round, saw one map, lost on the second round, queued into another game, and the first map was the same as the first map that we just did, and we were just already
yeah, I want to love this more.
That's literally how we felt. Yeah, we were just man, this game is so fucking good, but there's not enough stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, you guys think it'll have a second life when it hits Switch and Xbox in the summer?
Maybe. I think when it hits Switch, that's at least the best shot that's going to have. No?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that most people, it'll get a little boost on Xbox, but most people on Xbox who want to play it probably just played it on PC already. If they really want to. Switch is its own kind of install base. So I think a lot of people will be like, oh shit, this is cool, Switch. Because most of my friends that I know that are Switch players are not gamers. They just have a Switch.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll give a boost. But Xbox, I think, will be... I'll probably get on an Xbox just so I can start getting some achievements on it. But other than that,
Something else I hope comes to Xbox. They showed off PS5 is getting the Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're getting a port of that, which I loved. They showed like before and after videos of like PS4 versus PS5, and 90% of the time I couldn't tell which was which. It's like, what is the point of this visual upgrade? It looks damn near identical.
It's just for the people that are on PC that are streaming at 60 frames at 4K.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's it. I could see a little bit more of the details, the texture on that banister coming down the stairs.
I could see the chips in the metal of the sword.
Yeah.
Sony is continuing their Play at Home campaign that they started last year. This time they're spreading it across 4 months. You might remember last year they gave away some games and were basically telling people stay the fuck home. There's a pandemic. This year, starting March 1st, they are giving away Ratchet and Clank for the PS4 for free for a month. And once you redeem it, it's yours forever. No strings, no nothing. It's just yours.
That is a really fun game, too. That is, I didn't play a ton of PS4 during that generation, but I loved Ratchet and Clank from when I played it. That is a very fun game to get into.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I am also looking forward to the new Ratchet and Clank. I think that for the PS5 that's one of the main reasons I got a PS5 is the new Ratchet and Clank. It looks so fun.
I was actually going to ask you what the console sellers really for the PlayStation would be.
Demon Souls and Spider-Man.
Oh, right, Spider-Man. All right,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Games with gold for March were announced. Ryan, did you see the lineup?
I did, but I was so unimpressed by it, I literally forget everything that was announced.
Oh, that's not good.
Jacob?
And I'm never someone to complain about free games, and every month is going to, everyone's tastes are different, so some months are going to be more exciting to others.
Just had the backlog, that's all.
Yeah. I'll get them.
Jacob, did you see the lineup for March?
For what?
Games
For
with
Xbox
gold?
games? Yeah, I did. I don't own any of them, so I'm stoked.
Well, there you go. That's who the audience is. Jacob is the audience for Games with Gold.
I really am. It's just
March is Jacob's month. Excellent.
Well, every month is my month. It's just like, honestly, I'm like a dumb fucking golden retriever about Xbox Games with Gold. It's just like, oh boy, it's 4 games I don't already have in my library. Yeah.
I can't wait to never play them.
Yeah, I'm never going to play them, but I've got them. It's just like,
don't get me wrong. Jacob, I'm going to download them, and I'm going to enjoy having them in my possession. I just wasn't overly... Outside of Metal Slug 3, I like the Metal Slug games for what they are.
Like, it could honestly be like Rocky and Bullwinkle for Xbox Live Arcade, and I'd just be like, oh boy, yay.
You're like, it's about damn time.
But yeah, as you said, for the first half of March, Metal Slug 3 for the 360. The second half of the month is Port Royale 3, which is interesting. I don't own that one, so there's a win. And then
the fourth one's coming out soon.
Is it? I think so.
Yeah. So it's probably just to get everyone psyched for that.
Maybe. Good marketing. But on the Xbox One side of things, through the entire month of March is Warface Breakout, which I know Cole covered a while back and didn't really enjoy it that much. And then the second half of March into April is Vicious Attack Llama Apocalypse, which I think is hilarious that this game is part of Games with Gold. We had the dev on the show. He's an awesome guy. I'm excited to see this and excited to see more people murder llamas.
Vicious Attack Llama?
Yes.
Yeah. Like I'll give that one a shot. Like, I've been surprised by games like that just seem totally weird and out of place on something like that. I'll give it a go.
Oh, okay, yeah. At first, I was just like, wait a second, I could have sworn I saw something else get announced, and I realized Vala is just Vicious Attack. Yeah. Okay.
Llama Apocalypse, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good at this.
Proud of you.
I'm so good with the news.
Proud of you. A late game build of Dinosaur Planet by Rare for the N64 was unveiled and leaked out into the world. It was found on a disc from a private collector in Sweden. This is the game that eventually became Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube. So the N64 build leaked out into the world.
That's weird.
And if I remember correctly, it's not completely playable. Like, you have to do some emulation tricks with it, but
probably it's not like the GoldenEye that leaked out.
It's fairly complete, but I think there's still some hacks you have to do to it.
I mean, the fact that it exists, though, like I'm not special in this regard as far as gamers go, but I'm big on preservation. So just the fact that exists, even if it's a weird novelty that you can't really play cleanly all the time, like, it's just cool that was found and it exists. That's a huge reason I'm a collector, and why I like to get physical versions of things is because I don't want just something to disappear digitally, and that was that. R.I.P. WiiWare store.
Oh, I have so many games on my Wii U that just can never get again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to make it sad for everybody there. That got very...
Let's bring things up. Some joyous news. Madden 21 is hitting the EA Play Vault on March 2nd. Star Wars Squadrons will be hitting later on in March, and NHL 21 in April. And of course, because they're in the EA Play Vault, that means they're hitting Game Pass.
You'd think that they would have waited till like May the 4th for Star Wars.
So you want it later? Well,
because then because Star Wars
marketing
Star Wars traditionally does a bunch of shit on May 4th.
Yeah, well,
every year.
This leaves it open for something better.
Yeah. What if that was all they did for May 4th?
Here's what you get.
This is what Jacob wanted. Fuck him. This is all they got.
You asked for this, Jacob.
Well, no, because they're also releasing Star Wars Bad Blood or whatever it is. It's like the latest cartoon. That's coming to Disney Plus May 4th. I don't know. They usually do a bunch of shit. So, better than fucking BioWare with their N7 day.
Ooh, got him.
Speaking of BioWare...
Which announcement are we going with?
EA and BioWare are scrapping their plans for Anthem NEXT and are moving on. They said they will keep the Anthem live service running as it currently exists, but all their plans and reworks and everything else are gone.
I would just like to say I called this last time I was on the show, because if you look at Xbox Live, there is currently an EA publisher sale. And EA has always been pimping out Anthem whenever they got a chance to do a publisher sale. And the last few times, like the Legion of Dawn edition was like below $10, which originally retailed for like what, like $80?
Shut up! I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, like they were selling it for like $9.80 if I remember correctly. So the current EA publisher sale, it is nowhere to be found.
Just doesn't exist.
It just wasn't part of the sale, and I was just like, all right, cool. So they're not going to try to save Anthem. And then this week that announcement came. So.
I'm sure the 50 people that are still playing it will be heartbroken.
I never even bothered to like get it, because it was just like all I heard is about how broken it was at launch. And then,
well, hey, it's been on sale for $10. You should check it out.
Yeah, why should I check it out now? Nobody's playing it, and like all the reviews I read of it now is everyone's just like, oh, everyone's either talking in groups or they're flying to their next mission, and it's like,
what you need is a dedicated group of 4 people to play this game, and I could think of a dedicated group of 4 people who are doing a podcast right now who could all team up and play Anthem together.
Oh boy! All right, so I'm definitely going to spend $10 so I can play 2 hours a week max with you fucks. Yeah, no.
That's 2 hours more than you had before.
Anthem is one of my best examples for what I consider dodged a bullet games, because I had a lot of my like my friends that I do game with were really all about it looked, because I think a lot of people were. It looked pretty dope when it was first announced, and there was a lot of hype behind it. And those type of games, I'm like, I'm gonna wait. You guys have fun. I was that and Fallout 76. Those are the 2 games that I was like, you guys just have a good time. And then if it's cool, I'll jump in. And I have, as shown by this conversation, I have not jumped in yet. So
I was gonna say it was not cool. He did not jump in.
Yeah.
20 years later. Guys, you remember that game Anthem? There was a game called Anthem?
Yeah, they're doing a remake of it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Fans have been clamoring for it.
You take that back, Joe.
I could legitimately see Anthem being one of those games like 20 years from now, just like a really dedicated fanboy like makes his own mod of it, and then it's awesome then.
There's going to be someone running pirate servers of Anthem, like there's people who run Phantasy Star Online servers now.
Oh, God.
And then that's going to make them want to do the remaster.
It's going to be a bunch of hipsters like who are playing it. It's just like, yeah, well, at least I still play Anthem. It's still cool. No, you twit. It was never cool.
Can you think, you know how weird it's going to be? These are the types of things that keep me up at night. You know how weird it's going to be in like 15 years when everyone's going to be like, guys, do you remember Raid Shadow Legends?
Yeah, all right. So my oldest son is actually he's played a bunch of video games with me. It drives me nuts as my co-op partner on some games, but I love him anyway. But yeah, so he's kind of interested in like the retro games that he sees down in the basement and stuff like that. And today I was showing him a trailer for Star Wars Rebel Assault. And like the announcer is like, oh, well, it's got this feature and it's got, all like full motion video, and it has a score done by John Williams and all this other kind of stuff. And I had to be like, yeah, buddy, because he's like, what's this? Like, what does this mean? And I'm explaining it to him, and I'm like, this was a really big thing back in the day. And it really fucking killed me because at the same time, I also realized, shit, this game came out almost 30 years ago. And I'm so damn old.
Yeah.
I remember back when I had to use my dial-up connection to play Phantasy Star.
And dial-up sucked, but Phantasy Star Online was the shit.
Yeah, I still say this. I miss the handshake sound of a 56K modem. Like, I miss it so bad. I miss that sound. Honestly, I'll pull it up on YouTube every once in a while just to hear it.
That's not weird.
Just to remember home. Yeah, oh yeah, I get it. Have you guys played what was like a re-release of Phantasy Star Online 2? Is that worth diving in if you haven't ever played one of those before?
Honestly, no. I would wait for they're doing another Phantasy Star Online 2. I forget what the subtitle is, but it's like an actual newer game where the Phantasy Star Online 2 now is like a 10-year-old game that just finally came over.
Yeah, it's like Phantasy Star, like Super Tournament Edition 2021.
Well, I forget what the new one is called. There isn't like New Genesis or something like that. There is a new one coming out, and that one looks really solid. That one's is like actually built for the ground up for newer console.
Newer console.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Then I will not start it.
Yeah, I would hold off on Phantasy Star Online too.
If only I didn't have 3,000 other games to play.
Yeah, we'll help you. One you're not going to be able to play is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Oh, damn it. I was going to say, because while we were still on the subject of BioWare, we could actually kill off another news story.
What?
So tonight, they actually announced Dragon Age 4 will be single player only. EA has given them the go-ahead to kill off all multiplayer and online aspects of the game.
Yay!
Good, it didn't need it.
After they were just like, after they killed Anthem, but also the success of Jedi Fallen Order.
People don't want single-player games.
Yeah, so...
Didn't EA also come out and say they're going to be a lot more hands-off with games as well?
God, I wish.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I don't trust that.
I thought that was one of the headlines that came out today, but they're putting more power in the hands of the developers. But Bloodlines 2 delayed out of 2021, and Hardsuit Labs is no longer the lead developer, so who knows what's going on with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Yeah, that was a pretty fucking crazy update on that game.
Sony's Jim Ryan confirmed in an interview with GQ that Days Gone is coming to PC this spring.
I'd like to give that a shot.
More PlayStation games are coming to PC, and looks like gamers win.
Yeah. I've heard that's a pretty underrated game. Like it's pretty mindless. Nothing too. It's just killing hordes of zombie-like creatures, and sometimes that's all you need in a game. Again, goes back to not everything has to be a 100-hour epic story. Sometimes you just want to kill a lot of shit on a motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
True. But I am glad that Sony is being more receptive to putting some more of that stuff on PC, because I think even like them putting like Horizon was on PC was a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they do that with other exclusives like moving forward.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll see a lot more Sony games hit PC. I think it's just a matter of time. New game was announced today. Milestone is going to be working on Hot Wheels Unleashed, which was announced for Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. It's coming out in September.
I'm real curious about that game because I've had to review a couple of their motocross games, and I feel like I had to review one other. Did they do the Formula One games? I don't remember.
I think F1 was Codemasters.
That's right. Yeah, I've had to do a couple of Milestone games, and those things are just straight up Sims, and it's just like, I mean, they're enjoyable, they're very well made, but like, I'm curious how they're going to dial it back for the Hot Wheels property and just make it more arcadey. Well, I mean, did they say if it's going to be arcadey? I mean, I would assume it would be.
It looks arcadey, and based on the trailer, it looks like you're not going to be playing souped up life-size versions of the cars. You're actually going to be playing the little miniaturized Hot Wheels vehicles in miniaturized tracks. It looks really interesting.
Okay, so it's like the old Micro Machines games.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be an overhead perspective or behind the vehicle. I'm not too sure.
I'll tell you, I hope it's arcadey, because who wants to play a realistic Hot Wheels racing sim? Like that better be toys that are.
And if people want that, there's Forza. They have
Horizon. Yeah. That Horizon expansion was really good for that show.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I loved that expansion.
Good old Forza.
I want to get a racing wheel.
I need a racing wheel too.
Yeah, just for like Horizon. That's it.
Just invest all that money for one game.
Yep.
Kind of like Rock Band. Not like anyone's done that.
Yeah, I'm going to get a racing wheel for Forza and apparently to speedrun Dark Souls.
Yeah.
That seems to be the thing that people do in Dark Souls, is do it on weird controllers.
DDR mat. I just got a DDR mat.
Oh, did you get one of those metal ones, Joe?
No, I bought off Mercari. I bought High School Musical 3 with the DDR dance pad for $20, brand new, never opened.
It.
Oh God, that's right. Nice. I forgot that it was like a DDR clone.
Yeah, so we bought the rest of the actual DDR games for Xbox 360, and we're gonna try getting moving and dropping a couple pounds.
Hell yeah!
You know, I still have my Hannah Montana game that a bunch of us bought because we were all going to play it together and review it, and we never did.
Well, wasn't that the one that was like a really popular early quick gamer score game? That's why it was getting like traded around and bought up so fast.
I think so. Hannah Montana.
Yeah,
well, that and I think Night at the Museum was along those lines too.
Yeah, Night at the Museum was an easy one. Avatar, of course.
Well, yeah.
TMNT, or that one being quick and easy. That one was expensive for a while.
Yeah, Jacob, we know a lot about games going up in value because of their being licensed with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. Both Joe and I now own copies of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 for Xbox One.
Nice. How is that? You gonna buy a house with that?
Oh yeah, that's right. I actually get to review it today. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Nice.
I don't know. We'll see. Look
at that, Joe. You almost made me forget.
Son of a bitch. Last bit of news I have is that Arby's will soon be offering Shovel Knight toys in their kids' meals.
Ooh.
I
mean, that's actually pretty sweet. Like,
that is cool as hell.
Yeah, it came out of left field, and there's no pictures of the toys yet. But if you go up on the Arby's website and look under kids' meals, they do have the Shovel Knight logo there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, based on my physique, I'm a person who loves Arby's, so I don't need much convincing to go get myself a beef and cheddar. I'll tell you that much.
Well, they're kids' meals.
Oh yeah, then I'll get 3.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you just get multiple.
I don't see what the problem is here.
Drive up to
Let me know if you hit one up.
to the drive-in by yourself, and you just start yelling at no one behind you. Shut up, kids! Daddy's trying to order here.
So what is that? At 6 kids meals? Is that what we need? Kids 6. Sorry, I'm on the phone with my wife. 7 kids meals. All right.
You're not mine.
One of every toy, please. Please, one of every toy. Oh, geez. Someone telling me get Ring Fit for the Switch. I actually have it for the Switch, but because the Switch is in the living room, there's too much shaking. I don't have a way to get that set up in my office.
Yeah, I have had that problem myself. Like, I bought Ring Fit right now because my girlfriend and I are trying to buy a house. We live in a very small apartment at the moment. There's just no space to do it.
Yeah, you need a lot of space, and then the whole step, doing steps and jumping up and down. Like, I don't want to fall through my floor. Because if we have an old house. Our house is from like the 1900s. So.
Is it because you're a coward, Joe?
Yes.
Is that why? Okay.
Absolutely.
You won't take a simple through the floor bump of your house? Weak.
Shit's weak, son. Get out of here.
No, I think DDR is a good pick for you. I used it quite a bit when I was younger for cardio and stuff. Helped me out. So
I did too, believe it or not. For for the 5 days I exercised once in my life.
I feel a lot of gamers need to be tricked into exercising, and I'm doing this. I'm not doing anything with that, but I started something beginning of the year that I'm going to plug real fast. I'm raising money for a group called the Uniquely Me Foundation. They help families with limb difference children and things like that. And to motivate myself to work out, every mile I go on the treadmill, I'm donating $1 and trying to get people to match or donate as well. So, not wanting to look weak in front of my fans is the competition I've made with myself to actually work out. Because just trying not to die at age 40 wasn't enough. That's not enough motivation. Nope. I just don't want to look weak of friends.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes whatever we need for motivation, it doesn't necessarily matter how we get there. It's just the fact that we have the motivation to get there. You know,
if it gets the job done, that's what matters at the end.
It's all about the results. Yeah, exactly.
Yay! Well, that's the news I have. Any news anyone else want to talk about?
I've got news, of course.
Of course you do. I hope it's not a lot, because you usually have a lot. We don't have time.
Be quiet, Joe.
I have Chinese food waiting.
We have Chinese. All right, let's Jacob, what do you have
for us? All right,
I thought about it.
So Fry's Electronics has permanently closed its stores nationwide and online. I've never actually stepped foot inside of one. However, they made it possible for me to get the Borderlands 2 Collector's Edition way back in the day because they were the last retailer online to carry it. So
memories.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. You never want to see people lose their jobs or whatever, but that was a pretty predictable. They haven't restocked. That's the famous thing. They haven't restocked stores in years. What do you expect?
Yeah, I'm actually in a retail store group up on Facebook, and somebody had taken photos inside of a Fry's store about a month ago, and it's just the aisles were just empty. Some of these stores had full-blown cafes in them, or used to, I should say. The cafe hadn't been opened in months, and it's just he was just like, this store is dying. He was just like, I'm going to be surprised if it's open by still open by summertime, and sure enough, it closes a month later. But yeah, it's just that sucks. So there's that. Epic Games is settling their Fortnite loot box lawsuits with V-Bucks.
I heard about that.
Wait,
so
what?
Fucking stupid.
Wait, what?
Yeah, go on.
If you ever purchased an in-game loot box, presented within the game as loot llamas containing randomized items, Epic Games is going to give you 1,000 V-Bucks.
How do I get it?
You'll just get it automatically.
Yeah, it's going to be deposited in your account over the next 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
And that is how they're settling that lawsuit.
All right.
That's so fucked up that they could settle a lawsuit with V-Bucks.
Well,
yeah,
dude,
with more of their digital shit that you have to go in and then you have to play.
Well, Nintendo did that back in the 90s. Like they settled a lawsuit. I think it was Tengen had sued them about like their cartridges and stuff like that, and the exclusivity with it. And so the agreement was Nintendo had to ship out these coupons for I think it was a heavily discounted game, or it was like a free cartridge or whatever it is. But essentially, it was just like Nintendo made money off of their own for the lawsuit that they lost. So
that's hilarious.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So what else?
GameStop CFO is resigning as of March 26th. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I believe he was asked.
Well, so
he was asked.
So I don't know if you guys understand the significance of him stepping down tomorrow.
No, March, not February.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, because tomorrow would be the quarterly earnings reports for stocks. So
yeah, I'm sure it's
tomorrow,
definitely not tied in.
No, well, and tomorrow, yeah, and tomorrow would be the date that anybody that has a short on the stock would have to re-up for the next month. So the 26th is a significant day for anybody that holds a GameStop stock.
I don't.
Same.
I do not, but I follow it. So
yeah, I should have when it was like 50 cents just for fun.
Yeah, hindsight's always 20/20,
but what are you gonna do?
So CD Projekt Red is using the DMCA to get a bunch of tweets taken down after the source code for Gwent has been posted online. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and a bunch of hackers they've posted it, but they're also trying to charge journalists $250 a question to answer how they got it.
Oh, is this a weird time for me to tell you, Joe, that I'm charging you $250 for every question I've been asked today?
It's a good thing I didn't really ask you many questions, did I?
Oh, yeah. Chris did, though. Chris
did. Yeah.
Chris, you are fucked.
Yep. Do you do installments? Do you payment plans?
I'll do it in Bitcoin or GameStop. Yeah, V-Bucks.
GameStonks.
You know those 1,000 V-Bucks you just got from Activision? Those are coming to me, motherfucker.
Those are going right to me.
You got it. That's one free month of a battle pass. I hope you're happy.
Oh yeah, worth it.
So Final Fantasy 16 is supposedly going to be getting an easy mode for people who are more interested in the story than actually playing.
I am 100% for that for all games. Like
movie
mode. Honest, I'm totally for that for JRPGs, because it's just like I find the stories in them fascinating, but holy shit, I hate grinding.
Yeah, I mean, again, for me, like it's not quite the same, but it's another version of accessibility. Like,
sure.
There's some games that, like, it's not a disability thing, but the game's just so damn hard that I don't get to enjoy the story because I'm not good enough at that game. So, like, if you want to play it balls hard, have fun. But I don't think easy mode is it's a terrible thing just so people can enjoy your game.
Yeah. And I have 2 stories left, Joe, so, don't get, I know you're excited.
Chop, motherfucker.
So Stadia developers are having issues.
Oh, Stadia, this will be good.
Yeah, so this one is good. So they're finding that they can't update the games that they had released on Stadia. The ones who were working under Google. So pretty much the big issue is Journey to the Savage Planet, because Google had acquired Typhon Studios during 2019. And so Journey to the Savage Planet was one of the games that came with the Stadia Pro subscription. However, with the whole Stadia issue, everyone from Typhon Studios got let go from Google. However, the game is notoriously broken, and people have been complaining about it, and pretty much they've been going back and forth between 505 Games and Stadia, and people are complaining to 505 Games like, yo, this shit's broken. And 505 Games like, yeah, well, we can't do anything because it's Stadia's issue, not us. And Stadia's like, oh, well, you should go complain to 505 Games.
Oh, God.
So that ended up in a circular loop, although eventually they did get it fixed, and they have updated it with a couple of patches, but Google's now finding out that it's real hard to fix their own games when you fire everybody involved with it.
Yeah, weird how that works. Yeah.
And the last story for tonight, which came out completely out of fucking left field for me, and I only read about it while you guys were talking about boring shit earlier.
Ouch.
So Warner Brothers they're sitting on a Mortal Kombat cartoon show that was apparently kind of like DC Superhero Girls that was set to air on Cartoon Network. Apparently 26 episodes are completed, about 11 minutes each, but then Warner Brothers got cold feet, and they don't know if it's ever going to get finished or released. Some character designs from it have shown up, and they're kind of I'm looking at them, and they look kind of like Teen Titans Go.
Weird.
Kind of characters. But essentially the show was going to feature Cassie Cage, Jackie Briggs, and Frost just doing a bunch of shit. And as I said, it was going to be along the lines... Yeah, it was going to be along the lines of like DC Superhero Girls, where like they're like everybody is just in the same area and they're all like doing shit together and...
Doing shit together. That is how you can describe this show. We are doing shit together.
Yeah,
it's my favorite premise for a show ever. Just people doing shit together. That's sign me up.
Like it's real weird because like they're talking about like how Cartoon Network kept going back and forth with them. Like nobody was allowed to use actual guns. Cassie has to use green energy spirit guns, quote unquote.
Boo.
Like they had a theme song done for it, supposedly, and then meat was a test subject that was being used in their science class. However, standards of practice was just like, oh, you can't use that. So they had to prove that Adventure Time was able to use skinless humans, which is a real fucking weird phrase to use.
Yeah, that was an odd sentence to just hear right before I have Chinese food.
Yeah, speaking of, we should probably let Ryan get going.
They're
I feel
not related.
That we've taken up so much of your time already. It's been an hour and a half.
That's fun. I would have told you guys to fuck off a long time ago if I wasn't enjoying myself.
You still can if you want. There's still plenty of time to tell us to fuck off.
I mean, but like it won't be because I was bored. It was because I'm a dick.
Oh,
and hungry.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah. Now I have General Tso's chicken waiting for me in the other room, and so all bets are off right now.
All right, well, we will let you get going so you can enjoy your food. Ryan, thank you so much for being here, hanging out with us. Do you have any final words before we let you go?
No, I appreciate you having me. If anyone wants to follow my stuff, cripplethreat.com has my tour schedule. I'm at cripplethreat8 on everything. And hopefully I can come back and do this again. I enjoy doing this, Joe.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Cool, man. I'll talk to you guys later.
Cool. Have a good one. Enjoy your food.
I'm gonna.
Get it.
Kris, I guess we should let you get going as well.
Yeah.
I know you probably have a lot to get done as well. Not as much as Ryan, obviously.
Procrastinating, yeah.
So, do you have any final words before we let you go as well?
No, I'm looking forward to, hopefully not waiting the rest of the year for D2.
Or for you to come back on.
Also true, but now that the weather's starting to break, my schedule's starting to get shit again, so...
We'll figure something out. We'll get you back on.
Eventually, yeah.
Drag you
I am the ghost of SML past. I will always flow through at some point.
Does that mean Jacob's ghost of future?
You're stuck with me.
No, he's present.
Who's future then?
You don't know that.
Well, yeah, somebody who's obviously going to replace one of us. Duh.
Right.
Well, with Cole not having power, all bets are off anymore. She might never come back.
In the Force.
She might never get power again at this point.
That's right. You're going to be stuck with me on Thursday nights.
Fuck me.
You couldn't pay me enough.
Kris, we won't let
I
you
wouldn't
get
fuck her
going.
with a stolen dick.
Oh my god. All right, we're letting you go, Kris. Do you have any final words?
Yeah, I don't know. Play more games, I guess.
Cool. Hugs.
All right, hug. Bye.
Bye.
Jacob, you ready for some reviews?
I guess. Yeah, let's bang them out real quick.
All right, first game to talk about tonight is called Taxi Chaos, developed by Team 6 Game Studios, published by Lion Castle, released February 23rd on Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 for $29.99. Power through Midtown in a strong muscle car, race past the parks in an exotic supercar, or drift around the business area in a Japanese taxi tuner taxi. Whatever you choose, your challenge is to deliver your passengers on time, at least if you want to make any money. Jacob, tell us about Taxi Chaos.
Well, I'm just, living the dream, and I'm, going to my job, and I'm one step closer to being in a retirement home and living out the rest of my life.
God damn you.
Well,
so tell us about Taxi Chaos.
Do you know that there's aliens walking among us? All right, so
you got to repeat the first one like 6 more times. It's not enough.
Yeah. So for the people who haven't played this yet,
there's a lot of people who are working out their days before living in an old folks home.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't remember the entire line, but at least you were just like,
yes, I knew what you meant. I knew.
So
Jordan in chat, that line, oh my god, I've never hated a line in a game more.
And you know what really impresses me? How many different voice actors they all got to record the same
I know. Line. It's actually impressive.
It is. Okay, so we should actually talk about the game. Taxi Chaos is a nice homage, clone, however you want to put it, of the Crazy Taxi series that was released by Sega way back in the day, that hasn't seen an actual entry in the game series for forever. And it pretty much plays the same. You're going around a city, you pick up people, you drop them off at another place, and you're trying to not hit cop cars and just get from point A to point B as fast as you possibly can. There is a mechanic that I like in there, with the inclusion of a jump button, which, for me, that actually makes an interesting gameplay choice, and it does help with finding shortcuts and stuff like that, because hell, now you can just hop over walls. You can hop over an entire line of cars to get from point A to point B, and it, with your customers, some customers like the jump, some don't, so it messes up your multiplier, but that's pretty much it. There's arcade mode, there's pro mode, there's a free roam mode, which I don't feel like I have to explain what free roam means. But yeah, it's just, you have 2 different taxi drivers that you could choose from. There's a bunch of different car models you could use.
You have to unlock through different means in the game.
Right. By doing different stuff. And they do have a couple of quests tied in with a few people, which help you unlock stuff in the game. But otherwise, yeah, it looks nice. I'll give it that.
I will say, I think the biggest, I don't want to say criticism I could give the game, because it's going to come down to taste, but it really puts forth how important the soundtrack is in Crazy Taxi.
So obviously the people who are going to be playing this after review are not going to ever know about it, most likely. So when the game originally launched, it was just this weird, generic,
Euro trance.
Yeah, like a techno beat. And that was it. And that's all you had to be able to play the game by. It has since updated. There's now more of a rock sound to it, but even that's still a tad generic. And yeah, it's just, you realize how much of a part, like the Offspring songs, were to the original Crazy Taxi game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, this game doesn't have like any kind of option to upload music to it. One of the things that drives me nuts is that you can't get rid of the game rumble, which I'm just like, why are there so many indie games that just bypass that? I don't understand it. Like, just give me the option to turn off the force feedback, because I freaking hate it, especially with like Taxi Chaos. Like, it was just really getting on my nerves as I'm going. And on top of it, like, the friggin' audio to this game, you're going to hear the same damn conversations between the taxi driver and the customers over and over and over and over again.
I don't know if that was addressed in the recent patch. We should have.
It wasn't.
It wasn't. No.
I played it last night. It was not updated. The music's been updated, and honestly, that was the only noticeable change for me.
I will say that was a massive change in my eyes. I think changing the soundtrack was one of the best things they could have done with this game, because the previous soundtrack just didn't fit the game at all.
It didn't. It felt like placeholder music, which it very well might have been.
Yeah.
And then the developer was like, "Oh shit, I didn't upload the correct thing."
It's possible that what's there might still be placeholder. They might be looking for a more permanent soundtrack. I would love to see them get some form of licensed soundtrack in some way, whether it be smaller punk bands or indie bands or just something.
I'll be honest, even if it's just a studio band, like, and just put on 20 or 10 to 20 tracks. It would be really beneficial for this kind of game, because going based on just the arcade mode, I didn't feel like playing this game for more than 15 minutes. And I was doing a lot of free roam just so I could get some of the achievements and stuff like that. But the newer music is definitely helping me not want to turn off the game and find something else to play.
Yeah.
That being said, I enjoy it. Like, I wish that it had other features. As I said, I wish you could import soundtracks if they're not going to update the game soundtrack itself.
Well, that's not a feature you really see in many games, so I'm not going to hold that against them.
You used to.
But not anymore.
Yeah, I know. But
that was the thing when music was able to be installed on the original Xbox with Crazy Taxi 3. But that's really not a feature. Like, you can't rip soundtracks on your consoles anymore. What are you going to upload?
I don't know. Or even it'd be really freaking cool if you could somehow upload or connect to Spotify or some other music service.
I'm sure they would have to
in that game.
Work into getting a contract with them.
No. I know. I'm just spitballing here of this would be a cool idea if somebody would do this kind of thing. But holy God, just also make a feature so I could turn off the rumble on my controller, because it is all the damn time, and fix the damn voice acting. I should not hear the same conversation in 10 different voices. Old folks' home. Oh my God. And it's just did you know that aliens exist? It's just yes.
Are you from out of town? No one wears that kind of...
Nobody wears a Hawaiian shirt. The best part is I was picking up customers who weren't wearing the quote unquote Hawaiian shirts when that clip plays, and I'm just like, come on, guy.
Yeah. Well, $29.99 on Taxi Chaos. What do you think?
I'm sorry. What? $29.99?
Yep.
I'm gonna have to give it a try it verdict. I would be more comfortable if this was in the $15 to $20 price range. $30 seems to be a bit much for this, especially since it seems to be a prettied up version of Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
With not a whole lot added to it.
Yeah, so I can agree with you on that. I wish it were cheaper. I wish the soundtrack were better.
Yeah, and the thing is, if it had a killer soundtrack, I'd be like, all right, yeah, $30, whatever. Because Lord knows we paid more for Crazy Taxi 3 on Xbox, original Xbox. But
that was also made by Sega.
Yeah, $30. I'm not cool with. If it was $15, $20, I would definitely recommend it though.
All right, well, I got to read a review. The next one is Dry Drowning, developed by Studio V, published by Vigamus Leonardo, released February 22nd on Switch for $24.99. Dry Drowning is a psychological investigative visual novel set in a futuristic dystopian city. Follow the story of Mordred Foley, an unscrupulous private detective haunted by his dark past, and look into a series of macabre serial killings inspired by Greek mythology. Surlyna wrote in a review of this one. This is what she's got to say. Greetings, SML friends and fam. It is I, Surlyna, and this week I am reviewing Dry Drowning for the Nintendo Switch. Developed by Studio V and published by VLG Publishing, Dry Drowning is an investigative neo-noir futuristic visual novel that has you playing as Mordred Foley, private detective with a not-so-secret past that takes a case that can either finally free him or pull him back into the life he's trying to leave behind. Let's get on to the review. The story and atmosphere in Dry Drowning is pretty good. The main character, Mordred, is fairly interesting, and I like seeing the world through his eyes. His assistant / main squeeze, Hera, is also a good addition, but I find it hard to believe that a woman of her talents would settle for Mordred, which I can't get over that name, Mordred. That is
that from
name.
Lord of the Rings?
Maybe. Some of the characters are completely and utterly ridiculous, but I couldn't help but draw some very noticeable and sad parallels between this story and the current world we live in. I suppose it's not so distant future. The story is set in the fictional and independent city of Nova Polomos, where it is apparently always rainy, but we can expect nonetheless of our neo-noirs. Yes, even though it is a visual novel, the city still felt alive, and I really enjoyed that. The gameplay is virtually non-existent. This is, after all, a visual novel, so it's mostly point, click, and watch, but without the pointing. I have a pet peeve, and it's the fact that the game is not touchscreen supported. That makes no sense, and it forces me to navigate the menu, which is called Aqua OS. I thoroughly dislike Aqua OS. It's slow, clunky, and sometimes unresponsive. I suppose from a story point of view, that's a nice touch. What technology works well, right? From a gameplay standpoint, it's gross and a missed opportunity. With this being said, there are some good things about Aqua OS. For instance, as you collect evidence, once you solve a portion of the case, it immediately gets rid of anything you don't need. It's nice to not have to worry about inventory management. Also, since Aqua OS is how you literally navigate through the world, it does look nice. I just wish it were more easily accessible. Graphically, there's a lot to be admired here. It's a beautiful show. The colors are appropriately saturated and the backdrops are phenomenal and the environments are lush. Really love it when an art team takes the time and it really thinks about the overall feel of a novel and how to convey that visually. It's like everything is in its place and it makes sense. It's imagination brought to visual life. If I were reading this as a book and then played the game, I imagine what I thought these characters looked like were portrayed very well. Dry Drowning is available right now on the Nintendo Switch for $19.99, and should you buy it? Yes, I would definitely buy this game. Even though it's a bit crazy, the story immediately hooks you and you want to find out what the hell is going on. It is a visual novel treat for your eyeballs that you don't want to miss. Sounds pretty good. I wonder if that will come to other platforms.
Yeah, it sounded pretty neat. Also, Mordred is from Arthurian legend, as I looked up.
Thank you for looking that up.
No problem. Because I was like, after I said Lord of the Rings, I was like, something about that doesn't smell right. So I had to look it up.
Well, now we know, and knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Yep. Next game to talk about is called Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest, developed by Different Tales, published by Walkabout Games, released February 25th on Xbox One and PS4 for $14.99. Explore the myths and monsters of Europe's last primeval wilderness. Play as Maya, who arrives at an ancient forest looking to explore her family history. Visit real world places of mystery and power. Witness how nature clashes with technology and greed. Jacob, tell us about Werewolf the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest.
So it's not that often I get to actually see like a straight visual novel game on the Xbox. So, I mean, the fact that like these are being churned out is actually pretty cool in my book. Because I think the last one I had to review for the show was actually on Steam, which was a while back. So pretty much, as the description was saying, you're this woman who is traveling with your friend, possibly partner. I wasn't quite sure with how it was being written. And pretty much you're just going to this European town that's out in the middle of like freaking nowhere, because of course it is. Trying to find out more about your family, and you get there everyone is pretty much shunning you except for this one guy who, agreed to show you around town. But then, of course, there's some people in the town who are like, what? You don't know your history? Let me tell you. And then you have to react to certain things that they're saying. And some of your choices will affect your stats with different stuff. Like if you do one thing, it could be making you more enraged, or, it could lessen your rage a little bit. Or it could, fill up, your willpower. Or you could feel like, oh, God, I can't do anything. I'm just going to stay at home and binge Netflix. Or like you could just straight up die. That's also a possibility.
Fun.
And so it's a choose your own adventure kind of thing with, and you could choose like what locations are going to go to first. Are you going to talk to somebody? Or are you not going to talk to somebody? Are you going to look at the gravestone? Are you going to trip balls and like suddenly, find out about your family's history back during World War II? Nazi werewolves, possibly. Or just werewolves, like who fought Nazi, like, I don't know. I didn't get to that far I didn't get to that part in the game. I really like, but, I'm still going to be playing this after the review. It's keeping my attention. I will give it that. I don't really have any complaints for it. I mean, like, if you're used to playing these kind of games on Steam, then congratulations, you're now doing it on an Xbox, and sometimes you'll get achievements. Yay.
Yay.
I
got a few achievements. It's always fun to hear that little bloop bloop.
Yeah.
Got to give a shout out. A lot of accessibility options in this game. They have a lot of different text fonts you could work with. For those who are, have sight issues and dyslexic issues. They also have, I believe you could turn off the vibration. Yes.
I don't know about that. I mean, I
thought they did, unless I'm thinking of the wrong game. I could be a real idiot right now. That'd be hilarious.
And they're just like, what? We didn't include any accessibility options. What are you talking about?
Text? There is no text in our game. What the hell is he talking about?
What are you talking about? This is a JRPG. But yeah, if the controller ever did, like, the controller never vibrated for me during the game, so maybe it did for you with some of your choices, but I never got to that kind of a point. I really tried to keep my character balanced out with, not going into full-blown rage. I came close a couple of times, but I tried having my character have a level head. However, I kept losing my willpower. But yeah, the game, honestly, it's good. Like, I enjoyed the story. The writing's fine. It spun a good story for me, and the visuals.
There is vibration, motherfucker. Everything on the menu, every single time I move the button, it vibrates the controller. How did you not feel this? Is your batteries low, maybe?
No. I assure you I did not. Maybe it's because I was playing on Xbox One.
No, that wouldn't have any.
I don't know. Like, I
don't know. Check your options. There's a vibration setting.
Okay.
So I'll slap you.
Are we talking about your sex toys or the game still?
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
So, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest, $15. What are you thinking about it?
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it a lot when I was playing. As I said, I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to see it through to the end. I may end up with multiple playthroughs because I don't know if you have to do that to get 1,000 out of 1,000. I would assume you do, but my only thing is that thankfully I started up this game late at night. Some of the early art in the game is not appropriate to show around kids. So don't play it around your 6-year-old.
I mean, it is a werewolf game.
Well, yeah, but it could be like a cuddly werewolf.
It's rated M.
Rated M for Mary.
You're stupid. Next game to talk about is called The StoryTale, developed and published by Maxim Nuriev. Released February 19th on Xbox One for $4.99. The StoryTale is a fairy tale platformer with booms, explodes, and shatters where heroes fight with cursed weapons and tend to forget spells, but don't worry, nobody gets hurt. Jacob, tell us about The StoryTale.
Oh, thank God it's a game where nobody gets hurt, because finally it's just like I have a game where it's like, yeah, I can be frustrated, but I'll still figure out the level within 5 or so minutes. Oh my God. And not have to like want to throw my controller at the screen. So you start off as this princess who, it's just, you're moving through this fairy tale and somebody's reading it to you. But it's never, like, as far as I can tell, it's never really made clear if it's the princess who is just like retelling the story back to you, or if it's somebody telling the story to you, kind of like a Princess Bride kind of way. And maybe the game does reveal it at the end. I don't know. There ends up being like 70 odd levels to this game. I got 29 through before I was just like, you know, I've got a good enough handle on this for the review and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, like, so pretty much you're just moving through the levels. All your spells, you forget them at the end of the level, which is a little bit of annoying, but it creates a challenge every single new level. And I honestly was afraid that this was going to end up being like some $5 indie game, where it's just like, oh, it's a throwaway after like the first 8 levels or something like that. But the game found new ways to challenge with every single level, and I was real surprised by that. I never actually got bored with it. And I don't know if it's just the fact that, like, you know, oh, you just restarted at the beginning of the level. It's not like you're tied in with X amount of deaths. And if you don't get any of the bonus stuff on the level, then it's just like, it's not like you screw yourself over on the next level. It's just like oh, okay, cool. So you got the heart. Awesome. Great. Or not. Like, whatever. Like, the game doesn't judge you for it, as far as I can tell. And it eventually does switch over to a prince, and like you have some underwater levels, and you have one where he carries around this really heavy hammer, and it's so heavy that he can't jump, and so you have to hit the hammer onto the ground, which makes him fly with the hammer. And like, yeah, it's just, and you just have to collect these keys and get to the end. One of the things that I noticed really late into the game is that the keys will point to where their lockbox is located on the map, and that is super damn handy. And it's just like, it seems like just such a dumb, like such a throwaway feature, but it was honestly helpful. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, it was like, I was surprised that it had like actual voice acting in it. The levels are thought out. They're challenging, but not too challenging.
I like the pixel art too. It was visually, it was really nice for a pixel art game. I enjoyed it. It was, yeah. Like everything like surprised me about this game. I thought this was, as I said, I honestly thought that like when you showed it to me, I thought this was going to be like a $5 throwaway indie title, and it's not. I was really surprised, and I really enjoyed it. Well, then $5. What is your verdict? Hell yeah! Honestly, I would have been cool with $10 for this. Like, it's really fun. I highly recommend it. Like, I mean, it's not going to be on my game of the year list, but it's going to be on like games that Jacob recommends for 2021. There you go. Cool. Sounds good. So, all right. I guess you got one more game. Yeah, buddy. That's right. See, I got one more game. Don't even let me finish. You already jumped to conclusions, you dickhole. I know you want me off this show. Shut up. Final game for you to talk about is called The Amazing Spider-Man 2, developed by Beenox, published by Activision. It is not available to buy anymore, so I don't know why the fuck you want to cover it. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, go. Hey, I want to cover it because you and I were dumb enough to buy copies of this game for the Xbox One, as if it's like some sort of holy grail, which, by the way, it is not. No, it's not. But I am bringing Dark Mika in here so that she could make fun of you as you talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Oh, okay, cool. Is she here? Hi, Aki. Hello. Hey. So... Why did you bring me in to talk about the Spider-Man thing? To make fun of him. Oh, that's easy. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I brought you in now. Fantastic. Go, all Jacob, right. Go. So the thing that I found most puzzling right off the bat is that Activision released a string of Spider-Man games successfully from like the mid-2000s up till this.
And you still chose to play this one, okay?
Well, and the thing is, the other games they range from good to like excellent, and then this one is just
the one that tanked them. So you're like, yes, I want this.
Well, Joe was just like, oh, well, it's really rare, and it costs it goes for like $120 unopened online,
and it's what, a decade the fuck old or more? Wow.
2014. So yeah, it's like 7 years old. And so it is really surprising. Like, so the game tries to hold your hand with the controls and stuff like that. And swinging through the city has never felt more unnatural. Like, since, even PlayStation 1 Spider-Man did this better. It's just really surprising. And so you're going through what is supposed to be the plot of Spider-Man 2 or The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And they throw in a couple of extra things. Cool. Some of the gameplay is fine. Like, you get used to swinging through the city really shittily, and eventually they have this fast travel button that you can use, which I'd say like a good 70% of the time does not work properly, and you still overshoot and you're like 2 buildings away from where you wanted to be. So there's collectibles.
I still chose to play this. Why? I still don't understand why.
Because I spent $60 on this shit, Aki.
What? Why? What? Now you're talking about how you wasted money. Why are you wasting money? What is wrong with you?
Because I'm going to waste time and money. That's how we do.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Jesus, I wasted my time too. That's not acceptable.
Hey, you know where the end the call button is. You're allowed to put yourself out on misery.
Oh no, she's got work to do too when you're done. So.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, all right. The thing is, I know where that button is, but I can't turn it off for you is the problem. Or else I would, and we would be out of this misery already.
Well, I mean, you could walk away from your desk, like just put down the headset. But all right, anyway.
I'd rather make fun of you.
All right. So anyway, there's collectibles strewn throughout the city, and like you collect a bunch of comic book pages, and they unlock comic books that you can actually read in Stan's comic stand, which of course is hosted by Stan Lee. And I was just like, there's Stan. It's nice to hear your voice again. And honestly, he's the best part of the game, even though like you have to like go visit his store to even talk to him and stuff like that. So the game really shines when you're inside of a building for those gameplay things, which is the worst thing about being Spider-Man, because you think like the freedom of flinging yourself through the city would be the best part, and it's actually not. It's tedious and terrible. And there's a bunch of rescue missions that you have to do throughout the city, whether it's like saving people from fires, stopping high carjackings and stuff like that, stopping people from spray painting on walls because we have to protect those buildings. And honestly, like the saving people from fires is so god awful and terrible because Spider-Man's wall climbing ability just sucks on the side of buildings. And to make it worse, like the buildings that they set up these different things on, you have to get in on the second floor, but it won't just let you jump onto the second floor. You have to wall climb, and the navigation is terrible. And then you have to figure out where these people are inside the building, which is also terrible because if you're using your normal senses, you can't see. And if you're using your spidey senses, you still can't see, but everything is now in blue. And so I actively just avoid all of my home is burning down missions. I just let everyone in New York City just burn to death. And,
fuck them all. We don't need no water. Let the motherfucker
burn.
Yeah, I just let everybody burn in New York City. But I'll save your car, and I will stop you from spray painting. So anyways,
this is where you learned he was actually the one setting the fires.
God, that would have made this game better. So, like, as you go through the game, of course, you can collect stuff and, upgrade your abilities. And as you progress, you get more abilities because somehow, apparently, Spider-Man forgot that he can do stuff in between the movies. Maybe this is why the movies didn't do well. But eventually you end up having to fight these guys who are on the old Green Goblin gliders throughout the city. But however, they'll only really attack you if A, you're close to them, or B, if your hero meter goes down into like whatever the opposite of hero is, not anti-hero, because you're still doing good then, but
shitty person who reviews a 10-year-old.
Yeah, so my hero meter, is eventually went down into shitty person who reviews 10-year-old game status. And so they started attacking me. And so, of course, you have to beat them up and then do more good deeds around the city. But the problem is that you're spending so much time fighting off these guys, juggling the good deeds around the city, having to deal with the shitty web slinging mechanic in this game, that it becomes just so damn tedious just trying to do the main storyline. And it's just...
Well, maybe you should have saved people from fires to be more heroic.
No, they should have made a good game.
Well, there's that too.
Cole says there's a reason Beenox works on COD now.
It's just, it's unfortunate. I will say this, New York City looks very pretty in the game. It looks very nice. But yeah, so you can find this game for anywhere from $50 to $70 used. It's $120 and up for if you want it still in the wrapper.
For some reason,
Xbox One. Yeah, for some reason. This is going to be a game that, if you want to have it as your holy grail, that's a fine hill that you can die on.
If this is going to be your holy grail, your video game collection is fucking awful.
It is. What? It is.
How do the other games rack up against this in price point?
Spider-Man games, not nearly
not as expensive.
Crazy.
Why is this one specifically so expensive?
Because it's the only one you can play on Xbox One.
It's that.
Oh, so it's the lose or trial. Okay.
Right. It's the only one that you can play on Xbox One, and also there were just fewer copies of it printed. It's easier to get it. Well, but also the Xbox One, I think it just come out when it, this might have been a launch title for it. I'm not sure.
It was a very early title. I don't know if it was launched, but it was very early.
Meanwhile, if you want to get the Xbox 360 version of the game, it runs you $20-$30. Yeah. So, which is standard for pretty much all of the other Spider-Man games. They cost anywhere from $20 to $40, depending on the day. And I recommend all of them over
except this one.
Well, I just said that. Yeah. I recommend all of them over this. I'd even recommend Spider-Man Friend or Foe over this.
Haven't played that one. I'll take your word for it. You don't have to explain it. I've
never played it.
This show is over 2 hours. We need to move on. Do you have any final words before we get rid of you?
Farfanugan.
Good word. I agree.
Okay.
I used to say that every time I farted when I was a kid. So,
I was actually just I was just not going to say anything and just let Joe end it with okay. And then he said that, and I couldn't stifle my laughter. So good job on that.
Cole says we cannot blame long shows on her. All right, this one is not her fault. But next game to talk about is called Effie, developed by Inverge Studios, published by Klabater, released February 19th on Xbox One for $19.99. Delve into a 3D action adventure game that combines combat, platforming, and puzzles with the exploration of an expanded world. Live a unique fantasy adventure, free the cities from a powerful and dark evil, and relive the look and feel of old school video games. Aki, tell us about Effie.
Okay, this is effectively a hack and slash game more than anything, and an exploration game. You play as Galand. I hate his name because I always want to say Galahad, but it's not Galahad. It's Galad, and I'm just no. He's super strong, but a lazy shit. So he gets cursed by a witch and is turned into an old fart who's still apparently supposedly fairly strong. I don't really know how strong he is because he mostly fights ghosts and zombies and stuff by beating them senseless with a shield, which is really cool. And this is basically him just trying to prove to these, I assume they're gods or something, they don't really explain what they are, that he has a good heart. So he's out to go defeat the witch, and they'll give him back all his lost years. And for that, they give him a powerful shield that's just a fucking shield to beat up all the enemies. Not even a sword. They're just like, here, just smash people in the face with a shield. It's fine. 'Cause, you know, they're really good people. All their statues have like swords and shit on them, but no, you get the shield because fuck you. So he ends up going out and fighting her, and he gets abilities for the shield. And one of the really cool abilities that you get immediately is after you're booted out of the first area, your shield turns into a hoverboard, which is bitchin'. I really like that part. And then you travel in this, what's effectively a hub world, to find chests and relics and crap like that, and also to find the different entrances to the various cities that are around. These cities are cities in name and name alone. There's no people in any of them. There's a handful of monsters in them all, but that's about it. Each environment's very different, though. You have one that actually looks kind of like ye olde city, but then you have another one that's just this big old lake of booze. That's all it is a giant wine crater, effectively. And all the buildings there are like built right on top of the water, like houseboats and stuff. And it's all the water is just booze. Just endless booze as far as the eye can see. And the main city is actually just this giant barrel. Wine barrel, basically. There's another one where they apparently used to build swords, but apparently no one left any swords around or anything, and your character doesn't have one even though they used to have one, so they're still only using their shield. I'll never understand the only using the shield part, but hey, you know, it works. And I think there was only just those 3 cities, and you go through them, you beat up all the enemies on your way through, you get to the witch, you activate a crystal thing by beating her up various ways. Sometimes they're just... Usually they require you to get to a little thing and activate it to do damage to her, because you don't actually attack her yourself. Or you're beating up her minions, which somehow hurts her health, even though you're not hitting her. It doesn't always make sense. And at the end, you purify this crystal thing. And once you've purified all of them, you go and you fight her in the very last area. And it's effectively a large puzzle. Platforming puzzle. You have to get around, activate like 3 different crystals to do damage to her. And the environment changes and stuff. And sometimes you have to fight enemies. And you just have to keep doing that until she dies. Overall, the gameplay is very, very simplistic. You have a jump that's not really useful. Usually you're just running around and bashing things or collecting them, and that's really it. There are some issues with the game. One of them is an achievement. There's an achievement for getting all achievements, and like every other achievement that does that, they fuck it up, which is why no one should do this. And I've been saying this for like years now.
I hate those achievements so much. They do it because of the platinum trophy on PlayStation. I think they should just eliminate that achievement and use the rest to figure out the 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, if they could do it fucking right, I wouldn't mind it, but no one does it fucking right. I've had it pop once properly, and I've played probably a couple dozen games that have the fucking achievement. Only one of them has ever popped correctly, and I've had to wait for patches, or they've just never popped in the other games. I just wish they'd fuck off with those. But there's also some other issues, which are porting issues. Fairly often, they just straight up don't load objects into the game at all. Especially in the hub world. The hub world is where most of the problems stem. there's lots of areas where it may not just load the item, and instead it just, you walk through the stuff that's there instead of into it properly. Like, there's no entrance or anything. You just walk through it and you fall down. Or one really good example is there was a stairway that you had to walk up. When going towards it, I went through the stairway because the stairway didn't actually really exist. The graphics were loaded, but none of the physics of it were loaded, so I just went right through it. Other ones, they were like, oh, hey, you have an entrance that's supposed to be here. We're just not going to load the entrance at all, so you can't get into it. Yeah, this was constant, especially in the hub world. Almost every time I went somewhere new in it to do something, I had to quit the game and reopen it. Thankfully, that did solve it, but I also had to turn around and figure out where the fuck it was again every single time. So I'd be like, okay, I need to go there. Where the fuck is there again? And then I'd have to go and find the shit again. And it became a chore where I constantly had to fucking do that over and over and over and over. Otherwise, it's a decent game. It's not an amazing game or anything, but it's not bad when it works. Just it doesn't work very often, sadly.
Yeah. Well, $20 on it. What do you think?
I think hold off for now. Buy it on sale if you want, but hold off until they've patched it and make it work correctly.
Sounds good. All right, we got one last game to talk about tonight. That is called Baobab's Mausoleum Grindhouse Edition, Country of Woods and Creepy Tales, developed by Celery Emblem, published by Zerouno Games, released February 26th on Xbox One, Series X and S, PS4, PS5, Switch, and Steam for $19.99. Go crazy in this 8-bit retro adventure set in Flamingos Creek, a ghost town that only appears every 25 years on Alberta's road, and immerse yourself in the most out-of-touch, alienated neighborhood community you'll ever know. Steal, fight, negotiate, solve puzzles. Anything goes to find Daphne and get out of that cursed town that will be kept forever inside your brain as one of the selected nightmares ever created. Aki, tell us about Baobab's Mausoleum.
You play as an eggplant. And if that doesn't tell you a lot right there, I don't know what to tell you. A vampire eggplant, I might add. God, this game is so fucking weird. And it's also, I'll get into that later. You play as an FBI agent. I can't for the life of me tell you what his fucking name is because it is long and just no. And you crash your car into the city, and the first episode, it's 3 episodes long. First episode, you're just trying to get your car fixed so you can get back to work, because you were heading somewhere for your job, and you just want your fucking car fixed so you can get there. If only. Margaritas, if only. The whole thing is, it's kind of mostly a point and click, except for you're moving around. I don't know why I said lie, steal, and persuade or whatever it was.
Steal, fight, negotiate, and solve puzzles.
Yeah, you don't lie, steal, or negotiate. You do solve some puzzles, though. But you don't do any of the rest of that stuff at all. The closest you get to negotiation is the start of the 3rd episode where you get your brains blown out. So that doesn't even stop you. That doesn't stop you. You still have the entire 3rd game, and it's not you in hell or heaven or anything. You're still playing the game because apparently you just don't die. Well, I guess you are a vampire, so I guess I don't know. The game makes a little sense. In the game, you have to collect a very few items, really. And you're just trying to solve little things. You find an item, you use it not long after. The first game, you only are allowed to have 1 item at a time. So you find it, you have to use it. Thankfully, there's only like 4 or 5 items in that entire game. The second game, they give you a slight inventory, not that it's particularly needed. In the third game, you're right back to one item, and there's only like 2 items in that entire game. So, near the end of the first one, you're able to actually fight enemies. You get cigarettes that can let you burn things, and you even get a little boss fight, which is kind of interesting. You get to be able to run in the second game. You get another type of cigarette in it as well that lets you free stuff. Third game is really short, so you don't really get anything in it. This game is very weird. It's very hard to explain this game just because none of it makes any fucking sense.
Yeah, I know Chris Taylor really enjoyed the series on the Switch, but I know you said you were having some technical issues. There's some issues with the port. It feels like, I don't know if this is the same game that's on Switch or if Switch just got each of the individual episodes or not. They got them individually, and now this is a compilation of the 3 released to all platforms, including the Switch. Okay. On the Switch, there's no achievements, I assume, for any of this. Yeah. Well, there might be in-game achievements, I don't know, but system-wide, there's nothing on the Switch. Okay. Since each of the episodes were released on Steam originally, I'm pretty sure they just compiled all 3 of these as is and put them into the compilation. There have been a number of achievement issues with each one of the games, and they have, sadly, those same fucking issues have ported over, preventing you from getting achievements on the Xbox, because, of course, there's achievements for collecting coins in the games. The latter 2, you can't even get all the coins in either of them, I think it was. There's achievements for talking to people, and lots of those are just glitched and have been, one of them's been glitched since 2017. So, jeez. Yeah. Sadly, the developers don't really talk with anybody on Steam and never have. So I have no idea if they know or particularly care about it. Hopefully they do. So yeah, there's just lots of little annoying issues like that in it where you just can't complete the things that they have achievements for, and they've never been able to be completed, and they should have known that before they create an achievement for something that you literally cannot do. And it drives me out of my fucking mind. There's, I think, I like 5? That you got 2 games, and they both have achievement issues. Yeah, story of my life. This is what happens when you review games, folks. You're more likely to run into achievement problems than you are outside of reviewing games. Because we figure out the shit is broke, and we tell people, and hopefully they get fixed. Hopefully this one does, because I've heard a lot of good about the series. I'm excited to see it on Xbox, and I plan to try it myself. I don't know if it will, sadly, because I don't know if the devs are still properly functioning. They used to have a website which you need to actually solve one of the puzzles in the first game. There's a chest you need to open, and the solution's on their website. Their website's been defunct for years now. It's been defunct since the second game came out. So thankfully, people on Steam recorded that little bit of information, and it's on Steam, so you can still solve it. But you were supposed to go to their website in order to solve it as an anti-cheat measure or something, and their website's defunct. Their website is dead now. There's nothing on it. Yeah, so I don't know if they're actually functioning as a developer anymore. Because these were the only games they made were just these. So I don't know if they have anything to do with this anymore, really. But as it stands, $20 on Baobab's Mausoleum. What do you say? No. This is, maybe if it was $5, I would say sure, because it's only about that many hours worth of playtime, and the achievements are broken, and
this feels very niche. I don't know how many people will actually really get into this because it's just so weird and so much of it just doesn't make sense. I don't know how many people are going to be into this. So I have to say pass on this one.
Well, if people are interested, but they don't want to drop the whole $20, they can always grab it on Switch, or I believe it might still be episodic on PC if you just want to check out one episode and see if it floats your boat.
Yes, they do sell the individual episodes and the whole thing, both. So
well, there you go.
Get them as
Cool. Well, that is it for this episode. We made it through another one. Aki, thanks for jumping in here and making fun of Jacob at the end.
You're welcome. He's a good egg, but he's so easy to make fun of, and it's fantastic.
Shout out to Cole for hanging out in chat and keeping her spirit alive, even though Power Company won't let her join us. Big thanks to Jacob and Kris for coming on and hanging out with us. Massive thanks to Ryan Niemiller for coming on and keeping us company for an hour and a half. I can't believe he spent so much time with us. Go check out his website and keep up to date with where he's performing, and maybe you could see him in a town near you once all this craziness subsides. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Aki, do you have any final words to end it?
I honestly think Furfig Newton was a good one to end on, so I'll just stick with Furfig Newton.